And again, Paul's taking the day off, so I'm heading up solo to pick up the group. I'm at Lake Woodlands Drive in the Woodlands, Texas. I'm gonna sneak through this light because these things don't change for bikes early. This one is trying to change. So I'm going to get clips from different parts of the ride, because a lot of this route you guys have seen, but it's going to be mostly Honea, Egypt. We're going up to Raven Chapel, and then we're going to go into the forest. I definitely would like to get the forest. We'll see. It basically depends on how the ride goes, like everything. But should be interesting. On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the Woodlands. We had a threat of thunder showers. I picked up the few members that showed up for the Veloharmony ride. We went out on Fishcreek Boulevard, started the film on Fishcreek. By the time we got into Honea, the skies opened up and it just got colder, windier, lightning. So we decided to turn at 2854 there. That's all off camera. We came back on Keenan Cutoff, Grand Lake Estates, Honea, Egypt, back into the Woodlands. So we did not go as far as originally planned because it wasn't so much the rain as opposed to just the lightning. That was the biggest thing. So the conditions just deteriorated completely. Even when I got home, I filmed as I entered my neighborhood just to show that the weather had not let up. But I think you would like the few clips I got for you. We're on the open road. We're on Fishcreek Boulevard, the FM 2978, where we just went over the edge of Lake Creek. We're leaving the bridge here. That's another group that's repairing a flat tire. The Zonti group. They leave around 7:30. That's them here as well. We saw Gretsch Schad and some of the other riders there. We just kept going.
Those are the Zonti boys.
We came across Mike Weingrad. He was trying to decide whether he was going to wait for them here, but we were just riding. Look at the storm in the distance.
We're riding into that weather, man.
You see how dark it is up there? It's actually dark, colder, and windy.
That is, I don't know, man. That looks pretty scary. Looks like nighttime up there. I mean, it's like we're riding into that thing. It's like we're headed towards it. We should be going the other way.
I have to go there. I live that way.
I know.
Yeah, Kenny lives in that direction. He
like
rode
nighttime.
into town to join us, and so he's heading towards where he lives. He will be one of the first guys that turns around after the group splits. In a little while, the group is going to split just simply under the effort. The wind is blowing hard and the temperature is dropping. It says 25°C, it feels like 18. Because it's very windy here. I dubbed it a bit, kind of keep the wind noise down. So we picked up Mike, who is on the right here next to Clement Shempusan John. We just came across him. He didn't really plan to come to our ride. He was just out on the road. We came across him. I think he was going to the Zonti ride, those guys that we passed standing there repairing a flat. Because they leave from further up the road, but they leave at about the same time. So this group will end up splitting. There are not a whole lot of riders. Let's see here, 2, 4. We got about probably 5 riders, 6 riders, including myself, which is pretty good for a day like this. I mean, with all the rains, you know. I just presumed it wasn't going to really rain until later in the afternoon, because that's kind of the pattern we've had all week. There's been a threat of rain all day long, and they always come later, sometimes not at all. But not on this day. The rain actually shows up in a little bit.
Yeah, it's getting colder.
So I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a lot of gaps being left here, and then in a little bit we'll come to an intersection and no one wants to really ride. So Mike, who is in front of John in the pink jersey there, starts to ride, and they just let the gap open. So by the time I ride up to him, once I get a chance to flip the camera around, I realize we lose like 2 riders who did not want to put in the effort, you know. But I wanted to go ahead and ride and get this ride over with and not mess around. We're out here, might as well ride. So I'm sitting on John's wheel. You can hear the wind. There is no shelter here. We have I believe, a northeasterly flow of the wind. So with as much as it's gusting, 18 to 20 miles an hour into the wind is a fairly decent effort. I think Kenny is pulling. So the wind is coming from directly in front, mostly, and from the right. So I'm staggered a little to the left of John. And I periodically move the camera around to get different shots. That's kind of what you see me doing. But it's mostly directly from the front. So you can see how we're staggered in this lane. Kind of like a crosswind, you know. A head crosswind, I guess I would call it. But this is where the group's going to break up because everybody's messing around instead of riding on. And the guy in the pink, Mike, keeps riding and the gaps keep opening, so I just ride up to him.
Yeah. Mill route to Lone Star Parkway and then go to Bailey Grove. Okay.
We're talking about the route, and you hear me say, I think it'll be based on the weather. We'll see what the weather is.
1097 to Bailey Grove or up further?
No, 149.
Okay.
149 to
all the way up
to Bailey Grove, and then we'll get to 1097 and go through the forest.
Yeah.
Depending on what this weather's doing, I mean.
Yeah, we'll see.
So right here, you see, while we're chatting, the gap opens because the light changed and he went through. I'm not sure why Thomas didn't stay on his wheel because now he's gapped. So I'm having to ride over 300 watts to ride up to him because of this wind, and this road is a slight in excess of 400 watts. I just basically put my head down here and I'm riding into the wind. Riding up to Mike's wheel. Well, we kind of watch the gap open. So if you're riding with somebody you want to stay with and they're up here, just stay on that wheel. So what's the point of letting them go and then now Thomas is behind me trying to ride back? By the time I get up to this guy, I don't know if I flip the camera around or not. I don't find out that the group has split until we get to Ridge Lake Shores, because it was a good effort to get up to him. I had to do like, 20 plus miles an hour to get up to him. So I get up here and I sit on his wheel. You can hear the wind. He has one of these wheels on there that lets you coast, but it's a single cog wheel. So it's not a pure fixed gear bike. And he's got, I think he said he's riding a 4817 or something like that. So I'm sitting here. I stay a little to the right. That's where the draft feels like it is. But it's really swirling around. So I just mostly stay directly behind him. He has to stand because he's got one cog. And with the wind and this slope here, I think it's around 2%. The ratio is too big. I remain seated, but you can see I'm having to do almost 400 watts just to ride up here. Normally, we don't ride this hard on this thing because of the conditions. That wind is really, really blustery here. I'm not aware that we've lost 2 riders from the group already. You can see him slowing down. The wind is really pounding. He's having to work in that gear. In the corner where he pointed there, the shoulder ends, and that's what he was pointing at. I just stay on the road and listen to that thing. That wind is just gusting, and we're going slower and slower. So when you're riding in these conditions, don't worry so much about your speed. Focus on the effort. Focus on how hard you want to work. I'm right around sweet spot here. He has to stand, and once again, because he's got one cog on that thing. Back in the day, we were told that fixed gear training really makes you smooth or whatever. I did that for a couple of seasons and then I just stopped. But I used the actual fixed gear that you use on the track. So you couldn't coast like he can on this. And I did not do it with groups. I did it by myself. So he's going to pull off. He drifts to the left. I just go through. I'm not going to stay up there too long. I'm going to pull for a little bit. I think I flipped the camera around. At this point, I'm still not aware that we've lost 2 riders. I had, the plan on this ride was to do almost 77 miles. That was the plan. Thinking that, well, the weather will come in, the inclement weather will come in after lunch. I flipped the camera around. The whole time I had been working. I rode up to him. I sat on his wheel. Everyone's working because we don't have much shelter with the gusty winds here. So I figure I'll stay up there, do a few strokes. I treat it like a climb. So I'm keeping my cadence in the 80s. You hear the wind. It is just gusting. I'm sitting somewhat upright so John can get a good draft. I'm going to, in a little bit, I'm going to flick my elbow. I think right there. So John comes through. I drift a little to the side. And as I see Mike again, then I realize we've lost 2 riders. So we lost Mike Weingrad and Thomas on that effort to get up on Mike Bradbury's wheel here. So when you're riding in these kind of conditions, just stay close. Keep the tempo steady. Find an effort you can sustain. So Mike Bradbury and I both like, older bikes, old school stuff, alloy wheels, that kind of stuff. So we chatted about it during the ride later on. But he was, I have a pair of old Zip 101s on this bike that I'm riding. But I really wasn't in the mood to talk shop. So we just kind of chatted a little bit and focused on riding, especially after the weather got really challenging. We didn't really try to break up the group, but it's just the dynamics after that light. And he didn't go that hard. He was probably doing 18 miles an hour, but for us to ride up to him after the gap opened, we had to do a big effort to get up there quickly. And I guess the other guys didn't want to do that. And that's why you have to stay close, because he rode from the light. We're all there. They should have just stayed on his wheel. Because there's always going to be a spot where you can take a break. Like right here, I'm kind of taking a break. We're going downhill. I'm behind them. I'm not really even having to pedal. But you hear that wind. And I'm very close. You have to stay close. That's how you can save your energy. So I'm only working when I absolutely have to. So John is pulling. The road's gonna go up a little bit right here. You see I'm having to work 400 some watts. So you're not always working in a group, but you need to be efficient in that. When you get a chance to take a break, take a break. Don't work all the time. So you have something left when you absolutely have to work. I think we're going to be approaching the overpass soon. I'm not even trying to get a shot of everybody here. I just got the camera stationary and I'm just riding. I'm focusing on riding. Yeah, we're beginning the overpass. I think I shifted down one cog. I'm probably climbing in a 65 or 70 inch gear. We really didn't go seriously hard here, but because of the wind, you know, at least 350, 400 some watts. You know, Mike is having to stand once again because of that single cog, that 17 tooth cog paired with his 48 in the front. In a few kilometers, once we turn on Capitol Hill, Kenny's going to ask about the other guys. I guess he realizes they're not here. But at this point, I really didn't want to slow down and wait for anybody. You know, we wanted to get on with this ride. Yeah, this truck turned and then he slowed down. I guess he was trying to get in the left lane. He's waiting for cars to go by so he can get in that left lane. So we just used the shoulder. See, he signaled. He came from that turn on the right. And I'm not sure why he was taking so long. Oh, he was waiting on that truck to go by. So he gets in that lane. I'll go ahead and get in this lane. Because the wind is dubbed, you can't really get an appreciation for how gusty it is, but it's blowing. I stay on Mike's left here because of the wind blowing from the east. Now you hear it here. And this part is once again exposed. There are no trees on this side or anything, so the wind just hits you. We're going to be turning in about 500 meters. I will let them know that it's clear.
Clear. Clear.
This is when Kenny's asking for the other guys. He just realized, oh, they're not, we can't even see them. So really, there's no point in us waiting. to be a long wait. So we turn on Capitol Hill, and Kenny kind of sits up. He's asking about Thomas and them, and you know, I don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna ride up to John. Yeah, he's asking about Mike Weingrad, the other Mike, and Thomas. But we really didn't know what Mike's plans were. And John keeps riding, so I kind of sensed that John didn't want to wait. So I just continue to ride as well. And in a little bit, we forget all about the people that are off the back, and we just go ahead and start riding. It's kind of damp here on the road, as you can see. It's been raining here. So we're talking about Mike Barreras, San Diego
I've
Mike.
seen him in a few weeks on the rides.
So we hadn't seen Mike B.
Yeah.
And he and this guy on the right, Mike Barreras and Mike Bradbury, live in the same neighborhood now. And so he's telling us that, yeah, he's just really busy with the move and all that. That's kind of what we figured. So he'll be out in a little bit. That's what we're chatting about a second ago. It's rained here before we got here. It's all damp, as you can see. And we continue to go. We're going to hit Ribbon Chapel, and it'll start to drizzle on us. And once we get the mill route, it starts to really rain. And I'll go ahead and turn off the camera, because at that point, you really can't see much. They're talking about his fixed gear combination and how he's struggling on the overpass, and he had to stand to stay on top of the gear. It's the same thing if you're using a derailleur, because you always want to be in a gear you can handle if you're seated. You don't want to labor.
Moving out of the way here, of course.
Yep. It was looking scary from the distance. But
so at this point, the sky's clear, and that's what we're talking about. John said, oh, it's kind of moving out of the way. Well, that was not the case. It moved a little north, but it's still here. But it's not as dark as it was when we were coming on Fishcreek. And that's what we noticed. You know, the sky's a little lighter, but that was really just something to fake us out, because the rain is here. It had rained here before we got here. You can see it's all damp. I really should have put my fenders on, but I did not. And we all got drenched. I don't mind the rain so much that happened on this ride, because it was very heavy, and so it cleaned the roads. So it wasn't one of those that got you too filthy, but still, the water off the road always dirties your shorts. As soon as I got back, I cleaned everything, because you don't want that stuff to set in your clothes. There's water off the asphalt. It can stain your garments. So in a little bit, once the rain starts coming, before the rain comes, we'll encounter lightning. The camera does not pick it up, because the lightning is very quick. But Kenny decides to turn around, because he lives a few miles from here. Kenny's the guy in front of me right now. He decides, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and turn around. And then shortly after that, the three of us decided to alter the route and head back in. So we got a little over 50 miles on this ride, for me anyway. So that was pretty good. Better than nothing. So as you see, the road is wetter and wetter. We're pretty much getting drizzled on right now. And then when the lightning starts showing up, Kenny decides he's going to turn around. And we start thinking about, okay, maybe we need to head back because we don't want to be out here and you're dealing with thunder and lightning. I don't mind the rain itself. And a lot of times when we come on rides like these where we encounter heavy thunderstorms, sometimes we'll stop at a gas station or something till it passes and we can finish. But where we were when it started getting more challenging, we were exposed. There was really nowhere. There was no shelter, no cover. So we just shortened the ride. I'm gonna ride up to Kenny's wheel, I believe, here, because Mike had been pulling. You see the water on the side of the road. It's been raining here. So it rained before we got here, and then once we got here, it just continued. So even though it appears to be clear to our left there, to the right you can see those rain clouds. But it was, I mean, it just opened up everywhere. It was so heavy that you couldn't really see very well. So somewhere around here or on the climb, we see the lightning. You'll hear us talk about it. That's Kenny's bike doing all that picking. That would drive me nuts. Sounds like the bottom bracket. A lot of these push bottom brackets, press fit, they call them, where you have to press them in. If you don't use Loctite and the interface is not very tight, that's what you get.
Shit.
There, that was the lightning. The camera didn't pick it up.
That I don't like. See the lightning there?
I was like, shoot, that I don't like. The lightning went across the sky, you know, it was like a light show. And right here, we're trying to rethink, okay, guys, we're gonna have to make some decisions. And Kenny's gonna be the first one to say, you know what, I'm gonna turn around. Because there was even more, and then, you know, you hear the thunder. Right here, I think he's gonna decide to turn around.
My shoes and socks are already wet.
I'm gonna go to Taco and reevaluate.
I'm gonna go ahead and turn back.
You gonna turn back? Okay.
Yeah, all right, have a good one.
All right, Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny lives a few miles from here, so he decides to turn
Rain,
around.
I can deal with the lightning.
All right. Yeah, you know, the either ride's not bad, but kind of like 2 or 3 hours.
Careful on the corner, guys. That shine means it's slippery.
Yeah, that corner is very
Slippery on the
shiny.
corner.
That's the oils.
Slippery on that corner.
I tell them to be careful on the corner. When it's shiny
shine.
like that, that's the oils
Slick
from the asphalt rising to the surface because it hasn't rained hard enough yet to wash it away. That's what makes asphalt slippery. After the rain has been heavy, then you really get better traction. So when you see a shiny asphalt when you're riding, keep your bike as upright as possible.
Yeah, lightning, that's no bueno.
Yeah.
So right about here, we start to reevaluate.
Head back on, sprint
Yeah, yeah.
cut out the forest. That's still a 50 mile.
Yeah.
So this is where we
This,
decide
lightning, I
to
don't care for.
we decide to go ahead and go through Montgomery and not go to the forest, and then we're going to turn back on Spring Branch. Well, in a little while, off camera, the rain got very heavy. We decided we're not going into Montgomery. We just turned
Yeah,
on
the lightning is,
2854. So that's what we decided to do.
Legends, I had to turn the camera off because this is what I've been dealing with. Since I turned off the mill route, we've been getting pounded. I'm back in my neighborhood, and I just wanted to let you guys know why the film is shorter than last week, unusual, because first of all, very few people showed up because of the rain. You know, we have 40%, 50%, and so forth. You know, usually, like for the last couple of weeks, sometimes it wouldn't rain, but today it came down. I mean, it's just heavy, big drops, the kind that you feel when it hits you. So I hope you enjoyed the clips. At this point, you've seen what I got for you. But till next week, remember, get your K's in.